Well, here it is, morning number 2, so day 3. Rough night last night at the campsite. Just the wind and the rain. I really think it was the weather that was really getting me down. Got a fire going, and then I really got hit with just this feeling of isolation, which I suppose is the point of coming out here. This hill over here, it just looked like a big wall to me, just boxing me in. And knowing that I'm, a day's paddle and hike out of here, knowing that no one's ever going to know if I run into trouble out here, they won't know until I don't show up 4 days from now, just really got me into a bit of a panic. And then, in an act of desperation, I took up my phone, hoping I might be able to get one bar, knowing, of course, I probably won't. Put it all together and it wouldn't turn on. The battery had gotten wet. Doesn't look like the phone is wet. The little sticker looks like it's okay. So I decided I was going to give up and just head out of here this morning. But I had a good night's sleep. I blew up my air mattress tonight, so I slept better. No storms. So I might. Now I'm thinking I'm going to want to carry on. I'm going to have some breakfast. See how I feel after that. Well, I have a visitor this morning. I also have the shakes apparently. I have a little visitor this morning. He's been checking me out for about 5 minutes. I'm pretty sure he knows I'm leaving. And he's just waiting to see if I've left anything behind. Well, I've had some breakfast and I've torn down my camp. I've got everything packed up and some bags around my packs because it looks rather foggy and misty today. And I think I've learned my lesson from yesterday. So I'll give it some more thought, and I think I'm going to go on. I'm just going to take a look at my map here. Right where my thumbnail is where I'm camped. And if I bring my thumb down, there's a little island right there. I know it's hard to see, but the camera doesn't autofocus during shooting. That little island is that little guy down there. And so, if I'm sitting at this site, I see that there's a big hill here and a small hill here, which I believe are that hill and that hill, which means that my portage should be just up around that point. Let's go check it out. Well, here I am at Bridle. I've made my first of 5 treks across the Portage, 1.6k. It really didn't feel any longer than the 1k, but I might be singing a different tune when I bring the canoe through there. It's pretty mucky and rocky. This is interesting. There's a little stream here. The stream has taken the path right through the Portage. Well, about a third of it, and then on the other end of it, a stream takes a third of it down that way. So there's lots of muck and rocks and roots and whatnot showing. Nothing like I've seen on the videos though, so I think I'll be okay. Hey look, blue sky and the sun. That is a welcome sight after the last 2 days. I started this portage being prepared to be wet and cold. And so I'm just getting rid of my inside layer here. Let's take a look at the shoulder here. I got some bruising over here and cut in from the straps. Now the bruising, that's just from the canoe. It's not the weight of the packs. That's because quite frankly the packs are a little heavier than the canoe. It's that yoke. Just digs right into my shoulders. So what I've done here is This time around I've changed up my packs a little bit. Let me get a couple things out of the way here first. The heavy pack, I've removed the tarp, and I just carried that in by itself. The light pack, I've added the tarp, and this time I carried in the paddles, the netting, and the safety kit. The only thing left is the life jacket and the canoe. Well, I'm back. I have my canoe. My food is still here. I'm big on that, my food being where I left it. And truthfully, that portage wasn't as bad as yesterday's, even though it was about 50% longer, 60% longer. Like I said, I wrapped my sweater around the yoke. I wrapped it better than that, but it's come undone since I put it down. And the life jacket I was wearing, I lashed that to I just clipped it to the front seat. Canoe was just a little out of balance, and putting that there was just enough to set it right. So I'm going to load up, head to my site, get some lunch. Today's craft dinner day. Well, I've made camp here on Bridle Lake. Haven't gotten around to having lunch yet. I've set up my tarp, and this time I've put a ridge line in it, and I'm using a couple of poles to suspend a vestibule up front. The last 2 nights I've really just camped out in front of my tent, between the tent and the fire. 2 issues so far though. If the wind picks up, this really catches it. And the other is, if it decides to rain later, I'm going to have to prop up the middle of that. It's a great big water bowl right now. Anyway, going to get some lunch. I found something earlier today while I was out looking for a bowl for my tarp. We have poo. Now, I don't know whose poo this is. I can tell you it's not mine. But it's large. Here's one nugget. Now I heard that bear poop is small usually, but a big pile of small nuggets. And it kinda, I really can't say. If I break a piece open, one, it doesn't smell. So I mean, it's not like it showed up here today. And you can see all the pine needles have come down on top of it. So this has been here a little while. But if I poke through it, it's very fibrous. I'm thinking moose, something vegetarian, something large and vegetarian, because this looks a lot like horse poop. And so I think a moose may have done this. And this is very close to a green tree that was down, and that may be a clue as to how that tree ended up down to begin with. And there's just a little more over here. Same deal, except there's no pine needles on top of it. And my campsite is right there. So I really hope this is moose poo, and I hope it's old. And let's see, just tidied up in the campsite here. I'm hanging to dry a bunch of clothes that are wet that I've been portaging around. You know how much a wet pair of jeans weighs? It's a lot. I've got my food hung, and I'm going fishing. Well, I'm back from fishing. I didn't catch anything, but I had a good time. The weather was nice. There was a little breeze. And what I did here is I started up in there, and I got a free ride all the way down there. It's about 1 kilometer. And but then I paid for it on the way back. Came up here, sitting down, getting ready to make a fire. I need to rebuild this fire pit because it's a disaster. I hope the camera will pick up the sound, but this is interesting. Not when I swing. I mean, I'm chopping wood here, and there's quite an echo that comes off of that hill, and it's probably about a 2-second delay. Hopefully the camera will pick this up. about a 1 second delay. Anyway, hope the audio picked that up. I got to thinking about fire, seeing how I'm staring at a fire. It's amazing how good it can make you feel. Because right now, I feel sort of protected. I imagine most animals are afraid of fire, or at least that's what I grew up believing. You know, I could cook my food on that. I'm not going to tonight, but I could cook my food on that. The sense of accomplishment. I was told when I was younger that there used to be entire religions based on fire, and it was the job of the elders to keep fire going, to take it from community to community. And I imagine when the fire was the most technological thing we knew, how amazing it must have been. Well, here I am, enjoying my fire.